Okay, welcome back. I'm here to shoot my second video on this beautiful topic of whiskey. So today might be a little more interesting than the first introduction video. I know it got a little long, but today I'm going to speak about why I chose whiskey as the subject, to run my life with. Whiskey, like I said, is vast and diverse, and quite obviously, you know, not every whiskey is the same, or not every single place where these whiskeys are made hail from the same region, or you know need not really be the same distillery, or like I said, not every whiskey needs to be the same. Each and every distillery has a different process of making their whiskeys, and each and every region has different weather, different kinds of aging process, and every single distillery choose different types of cask. So, what really intrigued me into taking this subject up was just three things, right? One would be the process that gets involved in making these whiskeys. Interestingly, each and every distillery have different processes that they follow, and it's so surprising and pleasing to see and understand, what you really have in a bottle. When you go to probably a place where you guys might have your favorite MRP outlet, or a place which possibly has many varieties of whiskey. But have you ever thought what really goes behind the bottle? It's very interesting. So today I'm going to be speaking exactly about this. I'll try and keep it as short as I can and not bore you guys. We have different types of whiskeys which I'll be getting into, but first I'm going to tell you guys what I'm having today. This is the Paul John Select Classic. It is a select cask, non-chill filter, no color, no artificial flavor, right? It's bottled at 50% and happens to be my father's favorite, and hence we are left with this much. But let's pour a dram and talk a little more about what exactly, ooh, that sounds great, what exactly goes behind this whiskey. I'm using a GC glass. For those who don't know, a GC is a Glencairn glass. It is the most effective way of nosing or communicating, like I would say. I love to tell people to communicate with the spirit that gets poured into this glass, not for anything else, but primarily because when you start interacting with this, after you leave it and you take your time to consume the spirit, it starts talking back. Surprisingly, it works for me. I'm not sure what works for you guys. But when I say talking back, quite naturally there's air all around us, as you all know. And when you allow a whiskey to sit just like this, wherever you are, you start to realize that air quite naturally interacts with the spirit as well. So a lot of the flavors that you expect to come out a lot more easier than you trying to rush in and trying to understand what to pick or what's in the whiskey. So coming to the Paul John Select Cask Classic, one of my top favorites too, apart from my dad. As you can see, I would say this is a really nice golden color on it. This select cask basically means it's personally handpicked, or it's the best barrels that possibly give the master distiller the profile he's looking at, right? So in this case, this happens to be first and second fill ex-bourbon barrels aged for 7 years. Now, a 7-year-old whiskey in India or in any tropical climate would probably be, I would say, in Scotland, it would be 4 times the age. So I would say about 30 to 35 years roughly. But due to the weather, as you can see, the impact from the wood is a lot more higher. Right? Goa is very humid, so there's already water present in the air. The evaporation rate is way higher than Scotland. Now on my nose, I'm getting a typical Paul John character. a lot of vanilla, a lot of caramel, honey, a bit of the licorice. I will explain what licorice is probably in another video. I'm getting a bit of the sea salt coming in slightly late, and it's natural for Goa or for a whiskey made in Goa to have sea salt primarily because, like I said, the humidity and a lot of shores around, so the water vapor would carry a bit of the salt. Let's go for the palate. Wow. Man, that's got a punch. I would call this whiskey the big brother of Brilliance, although it's not fair to compare, but primarily because this is unpeated. It's first and second fill ex-bourbon barrels, and it's aged for 2 years in addition compared to the Brilliance. It's fabulous. There is obviously a bit of the spice as well. I'm getting, it's a long finish with the spice element that sort of lingers around. It's tried with a bit of water. I'm using just normal home water, just about, that's about just 2-3 drops of it. So what usually happens with a whiskey like this, precisely, what happens is when you add water, you know, 2 to 3 drops of water would bring the ABV down from 50% to 46, 47-ish. So in the same case, in this case as well, it's the same thing, right? You realize that the flavors have opened up. I'm not getting too much of the sea salt now, but quite definitely the characters of honey, caramel, vanilla, chocolate. Sorry if I didn't mention chocolate and coffee mocha, you know, are some of the strong characteristics I'm getting on the nose from the Paul John Select Cask Classic. It has mellowed down a bit, so let's go ahead and try it. Fair, you know, the flavors have mellowed down, the sweetness has come down, the spice is still getting to me on my palate once I consume the whiskey. There's a lot of warmth that's coming out of the throat region and my palate. The vanilla and the caramel have slightly mellowed down a bit. I'm not getting too much of the sea salt on the palate after I add water, but definitely chocolate and coffee mocha. With this, I'd like to end the video. So cheers.